Hey, so I haven't made a video for quite some time, mainly because I've been unsure about what to talk about. I mean, until now, my website and my videos, they have mainly been about pure meditation, and so my day job is that of a programmer. So most of the people I hang around with are very, rational and scientific type, and there are quite a few people who meditate, but they all subscribe to the Western Buddhism school of meditation. So Western Buddhism, if you don't know, is Buddhism stripped of all its supernatural elements. So no gods, no chakras, no nothing, just plain simple meditation. And that's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, pure meditation works fine. And Western Buddhism is the most popular spiritual system at the time. Many people who otherwise wouldn't have gotten into spirituality because they're hostile to religion have been welcomed in because of Western Buddhism. So I'm not complaining. My problem is that one, it's a very dry philosophy because it's purely about watching the mind. And if you go to any meditation forum that focuses purely on meditation, it's all very very dry. All the questions are the same, like I've been meditating, I still don't feel peaceful, or I feel confused, what do I do? The same sort of stuff, because there's nothing else much to talk about. And the second problem is that I find that Western Buddhism, not Buddhism, I'm not criticizing Buddhism, I'm criticizing Western Buddhism. I find Western Buddhism and modern Stoicism, which is sort of the same crowd, they're both good philosophies, but they're a bit heartless. There's no heart in them. It's very dry, intellectual. And like I said, the sort of people I hang out with, programmers, techie types, all your financial gurus, whiz gurus, crypto coin, these tech bros, that's the word, tech bros. They love intellectual type stuff, and for them it's great. And I find that when I start talking about the more woo-woo stuff, chakras and kundalini or whatever, and people they turn off or they become hostile. Oh no, because they think you're trying to convert them to your religion. So for a long time I tried to avoid talking about anything supernatural or anything that might be construed as religious. But that sort of put me in a bind because there is nothing to talk about, right? I mean, if you look at pure meditation, it gets boring very soon. You just search about your breath, and maybe 20 years down the lane you feel peaceful. Like I said, it works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying it works, but it's a very dry, intellectual, heartless philosophy, a very heartless way of looking at the world. And I'm getting bored of it. I'm sure other people are bored of it as well. So I want to move towards more other, so-called woo-woo stuff, which I feel a bit uncomfortable with because, like I said, I've faced hostility when I've tried before, and people become very mocking. They sort of make fun of you if you have he believes in chakras, ha ha ha, or whatever. And I myself have criticized the New Age movement because the New Age movement does have problems. I think one of my blogs is criticizing the law of attraction. It is used to shame people and who are suffering, saying, it's your own fault. So I'm not saying the New Age is perfect, but all philosophies and all thinking spiritual systems have problems, and but I don't want to box myself into just pure Western Buddhism type, where there's no God, there's no philosophy, there's no spirit, it's all just meditate to feel peaceful. Anyway, what was the point I was trying to say? I was trying to say that over the next time I'll try talking about stuff that's more in the woo-woo domain. And so I've been thinking about a few things. One of the things is the goddess. So I belong to a tradition of goddess worship, and I always wanted to talk about that. But I find that whenever you use the G word, goddess, people have their own preconceptions of what you're talking about. So maybe the first things I'll talk about is the myth of what people think about goddess worship versus what I think it actually is. I've been thinking a lot also about spiritual astrology. So I used to practice astrology, but I gave it up because I felt it turned normal people into, superstitious idiots, people who would believe anything. And I find that many Indian astrologers, I don't know about Western, but I find Indian astrologers are very greedy, and they constantly put fear into people to squeeze money out of them, and that sort of turned me off. There's a great negativity bias, especially in India. They always look at negative things in your. So I gave up astrology, but recently I was meditating and I got this sort of inspiration that the real goal of astrology is to help us in a spiritual path. It's not to make predictions about, you will meet a dark, handsome stranger. So I think that's the reason astrology has fallen down, because it's been taken away from its original purpose of helping a spiritual path, and it's been turned into a very petite and pedestrian prediction system. So that's one of the things I want to talk about. I'm going to continue talking about meditation, of course, but I'll maybe talk more about the whole our spiritual bodies as well. Again, I don't want to go too much into woo-woo. I still have a scientific outlet, and I don't want to become too much of the. So on one extreme we've got completely there's nothing, there's only science, and the other extreme you have people who believe anything, who believe that aliens from the planet Mumu are manipulating us. So I want to be somewhere in the middle. I still want to have a scientific, rational background, but I want to I also believe that the world that we see is not all there is, that there are other dimensions of truth as well. I mean, we should still be rational and scientific about them, but we shouldn't be too close-minded. And it's a hard balance, and that's the reason I haven't been able to talk about it much. I don't know how to find the balance between exploring spiritual concepts on the one hand and not being credulous or superstitious on the other. So I'm trying to find that balance. I haven't found it yet, which is why I have been quiet for some time. Haven't made any videos or written any blog posts for almost like 3 or 4 weeks, which is a very long time for me. Anyways, I was stuck, so I thought I'd talk about my stuckness to get out of the stuckness so I can start doing real work. So expect some woo-woo over the coming days. Cheers.